Well, good morning and welcome to another Friday edition of Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, and we have Mr. Leo King with Beryl Engineering and Inspections.
Oh, it's exciting times. I'm loving this cold wave.
What's the dealio with Adam Talley? You said he was on a radio. Is this a radio? Should we talk about this on the radio?
No, he was just busy last night. He was in a board meeting. It ran late.
Got it.
You know, with insurance industry right now with everything shutting down. Plus this awesome new news we learned where I can't wait to talk about a little insurance. I wish Adam was here to verify it, but we heard a rumor that, and I can't wait to spread the rumor later.
Yeah, we'll tease that in a minute. We've got some great stuff coming up. Yeah. And, of course, Danielle Evans with Gateway Appraisal Services back in the house.
Nice to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And can't wait to hear what's going on in your space. We're going to talk about that right after we go over the numbers. And then for the last half of the hour, Sarah Cricky with the mortgage firm is going to be joining us by phone. She's going to talk about what's going on there. Tiny little dip in rates. So I'm sure she's going to talk about that. We'll talk about some
What?
things. Yeah.
What, after 4 straight 0.75 increases, we're getting a dip?
They're still higher than they were. I'm not saying the Feds dropped the rates. I'm just saying, like, they get daily rate sheets like the stock market. So they're seeing a little... Well, just a good time to jump in there if you want to buy.
Isn't that song, When You Dip, I Dip, We Dip, or something?
Something like that, yeah. All right, so let's cover the housing numbers for the week. So this week, our 7-day trends, 3 counties, 720 new listings are on the market as of right now in 3 counties. Those are single-family homes. Price increases 65. Shake my head silently on the air. Price decreases 1358. Whopping almost double what our new listings are. I'm sure Danielle can't wait to jump on that one.
There are no pending sales in our reports these days.
Ooh,
none.
We'll talk about that. So pendings, we do have 693 pending right now. So there are some of those out there. They're a little lower than the new listings. Look at that.
So actually, I do see some interesting trends here. I mean, new listings are dipping below 850 in the greater Tampa Bay market.
Solds are smaller, too.
Yeah, that's a dip because we were in the 800s before. And I think this might be the first time in a couple of months we've seen pendings, where those are the new listings or any listing that goes under contract. I think this is the first time we've seen pendings lower than new listings in like 3 or 4 months.
Right. And so the numbers are shifting. You know, we rapidly move towards a balanced market. We're not quite there yet. And I know Danielle's going to talk about that. And we typically like to dispute that a little bit. But we look at the absorption rate very closely, a lot more closely than the appraisers do. You guys follow that trend line of past sales. So dive in because I know you're like,
and remember, we base upon a neighborhood. And you're basing,
ideally, yes.
And you're basing on tri-counties, you know.
No. We're reporting these numbers for Tampa proper, right?
It's for Tampa Bay.
Right.
But when an appraiser does an appraisal, it's specific to the neighborhood and the subject property itself.
When we pull as an agent, like when we're pulling comps to go in and look at it, we're a 1 mile radius.
Yes.
20% on the square footage, which is kind of what you guys follow.
Yeah.
But from a general real estate perspective, like from a buyer perspective, okay, so a buyer in the market right now, yes, they kind of have an idea where they want to buy. That radius, I can guarantee you, is larger than 1 mile, right, in diameter. And they're flexible, probably to move to another area or another mini city, right? Lutz, Land O'Lakes, Wesley Chapel, Ybor City, Newport Richey, these little mini cities we have all over. They're flexible to go to those areas if the other stuff makes sense, right? If they have a commute, if the commute works out, if the house works.
Yes.
So there's
people consider Land O'Lakes and Wesley Chapel comparable to each other. And like you said, they have a very large 20 mile radius that they're looking. Yeah. The appraiser's looking within a mile.
And I have to tell you, like as a potential buyer myself, if I was in Wesley Chapel, I would not want to be deep in Wesley Chapel. I would definitely want to be on the western side.
Yes.
Preferably not Wesley Chapel. I prefer to be like on the western side of 75.
If I had to live in Wesley Chapel, I would prefer not to live in Wesley Chapel.
Absolutely.
Well, just for me, right? Because you have to think everything I do when I drive is going to be mostly west and south, like into Tampa, some stuff north, some stuff east, but everything, even driving to the office, I'm going to be driving south.
There are people that would prefer to live in Land O'Lakes and take the Suncoast Expressway than to live in Wesley Chapel and be on 75.
That's why Land O'Lakes is appealing, because you have all those options, including 41.
Absolutely. But if you lived in Wesley Chapel, you are that much closer to the Kumquat Festival and the Renaissance Festivals, both of which are in Dade City.
Twice a year? Okay, yeah. Compared to every day? I don't think so.
No. That traffic is a nightmare.
Have either of you two been to the Kumquat Festival in Dade City?
The Kumquat Festival I have been to. I have been to it. I've actually been to it.
So what is that about?
So basically they grow kumquats and they have a festival around it. You get kumquat pie, which is tart, like key lime pie.
And we're in the top of the chart for kumquat. It's our we've got it locked down here.
Yeah. And I still love my shirt that's Mortal Kumquat, and it's got like a little Mortal Kombat.
I never knew what a kumquat was until I actually inspected houses and actually was on a kumquat farm.
The festival is awesome. I highly recommend to anyone listening that lives in Wesley Chapel.
What is it?
Kumquat's like a small little tart, like citrus.
It's almost like an apricot.
No. When is the
it's usually around the same time as Gasparilla.
Okay, so January-ish.
January, February-ish.
So that's like saying you're going to move to Plant City based on the strawberry festival.
Strawberries, yeah.
Yeah, well, the Strawberry Festival, and God love Plant City, because Plant City. The Strawberry Festival has turned more into like a county fair and a country music festival, and it takes place over several weekends. That's a completely different animal. Kumquat Festival is just all about the kumquat and all about that one day.
Oh my gosh, Leo, I can't with you.
That's why you moved to Dade City.
All right, so let's talk about these trends. And so we're just seeing interesting things in the market, and I'd love to know, what your take is. And actually, like next week, Leo, the numbers will be out for October. And so the interesting thing, like even looking at, when I go back to September, like I look at this September data, there's a one in here that goes by price point. It's not here. Hang on. And this is Q3. So, and this is what I want you to chime in on an appraiser. Let me pull the Florida Realtors report here. And it talks about the price point. So, closed sales by price point. And this upper end, that's the one that I want you to kind of mention, the $600,000 to $999. That was down only 5.2%, but it's a smaller pool of buyers. So in Q3, 417 people in 4 counties, including Hernando, which we don't even report on, that's how many people purchased a home in that price range.
Is one of those Tom Brady?
If he was in that price range, I thought he was over that price range.
Oh, that's right.
He's one of the 123 people that purchased over $1 million. And 400,000 to $599.9. That's still the bulk of our volume. So 979 people closed on a single family home in Q3. Even that's down 10%. And then you look at the mainstream price right behind it. That's down 37%. 908
Now
people.
Imagine doing this kind of data just for a neighborhood. And that's where we decide, is this an increasing, stable, or decreasing market? We're going to pull just the comparable sales. So if there's 30 comparable sales in a market, we're going to pull all those and put it in a chart just like this to determine if it's in an increasing market or a stable market. And I'll tell you right now, we're still clicking increasing. Even, the listing prices are coming down.
Which is surprising to me.
But it's from a year ago. We're going to take the 7 to 12 month old comps, the 4 to 6 month old comps, and 0 to 3 months.
So I've got a question.
We're going to break them up, and that's how it determines if we're stable or increasing.
How far back are you going on comps right now? You still going a year?
We always go 1 year to determine the 1004 MC, the market addendum for the appraisal. It's a form in the appraisal. In order to fill out that form, you have to look all the way back a year.
So your numbers, that box is not going to change until mid-year next year.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying. And even the listing prices are coming down, and homes are closing for below list price. They're still higher than they were a year ago.
I'll comment on that from a real estate perspective, but Leo.
So even though we've pinpointed the start of this current recession to sometime between July 11th and July 18th, and they can't announce it for another month, you're still checking the increase box, because until we lap into next July, where we hit that inflection point, you can't call it a decreasing market.
No, and not even in July.
It'll go to stable before it's going to go to decreasing. It's not even at stable yet.
Correct. Even in July, though, things were not things were not decreasing yet at that point. It was still very
right now we're neck and neck, and it's still on the higher side. Homes that were listed and sold 7 to 12 months ago, we are in line and still showing slight increases.
So I'm going to comment on that from a real estate perspective. It's going to take me longer than 10 seconds. So we got to roll to a break. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775. That's our off-air number. You'll stick around for what I have to say next. 813-377-2775. That's our off-air number. If you got questions, concerns, you want to know what your home's value is, just text value. 813-377-2775. We'll be right back.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Tampa Home Talk, bringing you the exciting. We got the mortgage, we got the appraiser, we got the real estate, we got the inspection, we got the engineer, we've got the stats, we've got the take it back over, Kat.
Anything real estate related, we got it on this show. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. So right before the break, we were talking about how appraisers like Danielle are still pulling 12 months, right? When they go to look at comps, they're still pulling 12-month comps, and they're also checking that the market is increasing. So this is why I say, like, real estate people, good real estate people like me, we're on the front end of which way the train is going. The appraisers are in the caboose, right? So they're looking at all that stuff.
We're looking in the past.
Yeah. So right now, like, for example, when I go on a listing appointment, part of the value that we bring is being able to price that property properly. Woo. I don't know if I could say that 3 times in a row.
Well, I'm just thinking from the number of price decreases I'm seeing every week, above 1,300, steady for the last 2 months, that people are still chasing the price. And when you start chasing the price, you end up losing money.
That's correct.
Sellers are accepting the first offer again.
Oh yeah.
Sellers are not waiting.
If they're smart,
they're taking the first. We're actually seeing these bidding wars and all this. That's all gone.
It's gone.
The first buyer to the property that's making a solid offer is getting it, and it is coming 10, 15,000 lower than list price, and the sellers are just okay with it.
I have to tell you, I took a listing literally this week, priced it spot on. Now when I'm looking at comps, I'm looking 90 days back.
Absolutely. And if it's priced spot on, it will sell for list price.
It did. Yeah. Yes. It's under contract for list price. And so it didn't even make it to our Friday hour because we literally went under contract. We had to offer the same day. I had people blow me up trying to get in the same day. And still strong offers, like conventional over FHA.
Yes.
So we're still seeing a lot of stuff. But when I go into price a home, I'm telling the sellers, I understand that so-and-so Sally sold 9 months ago down the street, but it's no longer a relevant depiction of today's current market. And a lot of that has to do with interest rates, right?
Absolutely.
The interest rates are higher, so that home flat out costs more for the buyer to buy. So we're no longer in that environment, but we're way overdue for stabilization. I mean, we've been talking about this for 3 years now.
3+ years.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for COVID, we probably would have hit this part of the housing market in Florida 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, it really surprised me that the housing market just went nuts after COVID. But think about it. You lock down people in their homes and they can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
That home that you're in becomes really important.
Especially when you can work from anywhere in the country.
And all of the new construction, surge, it made it affordable at the time for people. Today, new construction, not so much. But 3 years ago, new construction was actually a really good idea for a buyer.
Some of the stuff we're seeing, though, in new construction, they are like where they were reducing realtor comp to like 1%, that's gone.
Yeah.
They're back up to 3% plus. They're giving away bonuses. And what I'm seeing, too, on the builder side, which is really hard for people like Sarah to compete with, you just can't because the builder pays the closing costs. These big builders are now, spending tens of $1,000s for permanent interest rate buy downs.
Wow. That is pretty awesome.
That's
even very awesome for the buyers.
That is awesome. And then the design center credits when new construction's rolling out right now.
Well, they've got all these spec homes they started building, right? We did a whole show on this, and what that means is where the builder starts building and they don't have an end buyer in mind. So they're going to have this inventory that's ready, and they don't want to turn the corner into 2023 and find out what's going to happen with all this inventory they're sitting on. So they're getting really aggressive to still move that inventory, which is very smart.
And a lot of people pulled their their contracts when the interest rate went up. They said, I can't wait to see what the interest rate's going to be a year from now. And they just walked away.
Yeah, they wouldn't let them lock.
And we're talking dozens of new construction. And so now those are now spec homes because they were half built or on their way to being built. And now those are spec homes that were never intended to be spec homes.
Yeah, I think the builders tend to like it better when they are spec homes where they have a line of people to buy them versus having your homeowner that's going to show up weekly and see how bad the construction is.
Yes.
And how the outlets need to move 7 or 8 inches higher and things of that nature. So it becomes easier for the builders. But yeah, I mean, the builder's company store motif where they offer the real estate agent and the insurance agent and the mortgage company, it's always seemed a little unfair to the buyer.
In title, they own all of it.
Yeah, it's completely unfair. It's completely unfair to the buyer because you've got the company store, and even they have their own building department engineer sitting in the same subdivision. It's all ripe for corruption.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, they want to try to control the market, right? Which makes sense. You want to control your buyer, control the whole experience, but it doesn't give the buyer really any choice. They say they have a choice and they can pick a different title company or lender, but if they do that, they lose all the credits and incentives they're going to give them.
What I see right now is the buyers are closing with the builder's lender, and a day later, I'm coming in to refinance a house they haven't even lived in for a week.
Why?
That's the work on my desk.
Because the rate's that different? It's that high?
When you go in with a credit union, I believe that they put a lot of cash down and they're trying to get that cash back. I don't think that refinance has anything other to do with getting back what the cash they put down.
Well, and they also are getting penalized. I can tell you that when banks and lenders make a loan like that and it gets paid off right away within 90 or 120 days, they've got to write a check.
Yeah,
basically to whoever originated that loan. It's a big deal.
We're also seeing cash. We're also seeing cash buyers refinance the day they move in.
Yeah, because they can get aggressive, and it doesn't control like how much cost they pay. I don't know if I would do that, honestly. If I was cash, I think I would take the lender's money. I would get the loan.
Yeah.
And then, maybe try to renegotiate the deal with the credit or something. I would do it. I wouldn't walk away from it because you can get a lot of, especially now, builders are going to be very apt to play in that environment with you. So one other thing that's worth mentioning, we had another iBuyer leave the business this particular week. So iBuyers are like all these companies that come in and say, we'll buy your house for cash, right? So another iBuyer, Redfin, is off the table. A lot of these companies are laying off their workforces. So that means we're down to 2. We've got Open Door and OfferPad are the last 2 iBuyers left.
So wasn't Redfin the one that decided that we're going to do the Circuit City approach to sales and we're just going to hire real estate agents on a salary basis?
Yes.
Yeah, that can never work.
No,
I mean,
it's not going to work.
I mean, the same thing happened to Circuit City, who also wore red. They took their sales force that was supposed to be commission based, and they turned them into salary, and then the sales just plummeted.
Guess what? You don't get sales people that apply for that job. You get order takers. That apply for that job. If you want salespeople, you got to hire these hungry thoroughbred salespeople.
And you got to cater to their greed, and you got to pay them on commission. That's the way you grow a sales force. I mean,
I don't know that it's greed. If you earn your living that way, you get the opportunity to make more.
Motivated by getting the money in. I mean, like our employees that do inspections, they're not motivated by how much the inspection costs. Your salespeople who get a piece of the action, they're motivated by that.
That's what I'm saying. It's a completely different mindset.
Right.
So someone that shows up to basically earn a commission. And I believe salespeople have to earn a commission compared to people that are an employee that show up. They have a completely different mindset than business owners, right? I mean, look at yourself, Leo. Would you go take a job 9 to 5 and show up for a paycheck? Or do you want to be the business owner and create your own opportunity?
Oh, some weeks I feel like a 9 to 5 where I can just leave it at the door.
Every business owner feels
I would love that. Just, I'm off work. I'm done for the day.
Every business owner feels that way. But the truth is you either are wired that way or you're not. So if you're wired that way, you are a salesperson or you're an entrepreneur or you're a CEO of your company. You're not like my husband is totally just that government worker. He's just that person that has to be an employee. He would not be a very good self-employed person. That's why people are like, oh, your husband should come work with you in the business. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. It's not going to work here. So the point is, and the reason why I mention this is I'd like to bet on when we think OfferPad and Open Door are going to hit the road.
OfferPad's got to hit hard when they hit. The inventory that I see in the market that's owned by OfferPad and just sitting and not moving because it's priced so high, I hope they.
How long do you think it will take them for them to go under? How long?
We do their inspections for them. I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them.
I'm rooting for the business for you, but all I'm saying is we still have cash investors, so real cash investors that will buy your home for cash.
What I will say from them, I've seen a lot more where we're doing. It used to be we did a lot of inspections for them, and they used the inspection reports to renegotiate or drop. Now we're doing more designs for them, which means that they're actually buying homes that have some problems. They're trying to do some fixes or flips and then sell them. So I think
or they'll keep on them and rent them. Some of them are. I
think we're going to see them stick around a little bit longer than the other one.
Look, I get it. I get why people don't want to go through the traditional real estate process. It can be stressful, right?
Yeah.
To get your home ready for market, to have buyers through it. We get all that. That's why we've always taken the approach of you choose. We'll find a solution that works for you. And if you're looking for a cash buyer to buy your home without all the red tape, we can help.
Absolutely.
So 813-377-2775. And we're always going to do that, by the way, whether these companies are available or not. 813-377-2775. If you'd like to get a cash offer, just text that to us. And no pressure. We'll basically shop your house price for you. So we'll take your house out, we'll get a bunch of information, and we'll shop it to all of our investors, and you'll still walk away with a good price. 813-377-2775. When we come back, more about valuations.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Tampa Home Talk, and you're live listening to the all aspects of the real estate market, talking to you right now. When do we have our mortgage lady?
Well, she's on, and there's no Adam this week. So do we have an inspection tip of the week before we jump into Sarah?
Inspection tip of the week. We're starting to see a lot more of this, especially after Hurricane Nicole came through. Basically, we're having more people that are noticing that their baseboards are wet, and they're starting to get some staining at the flooring at that point where the baseboards meet the sidewall. And it's from a rising water table. So a tactic that you might have to do if you start to run into this problem is something called an elastomeric stop. And that's where you actually paint below ground on your block wall and near your footer to prevent moisture from coming in and wicking. It's called wicking through the wall.
That's a good idea.
So some people think that it's actually coming in through the windows. They'll start to see little cracks develop off the windows. But in actuality, it's because we have so much, and I can't believe I'm saying this because we basically had a drought the whole summer. But it's like we got an entire summer's worth of rain in less than 3-week period.
How far down would you dig to paint?
6 inches.
That was going to be my question.
Was it?
6 inches.
What I was going to ask.
See, they're great radio interview minds think alike. No, how far down? So it makes sense. So dig your where your ground meets your house. Dig that down 6 inches and paint all the way down.
It's an elastomeric stop. It's a very special kind of paint. So if you bought an acrylic paint, which is your standard Home Depot, Lowe's, Sherwin-Williams, Behr, Scott's, got that standard large bucket, you're going to get a bucket that's going to cover maybe a third of what that big bucket covers, and you're going to pay the same price.
You know who, speaking of paint, real quick, off topic, Pat, you know who we have to bring on the air? I've been saying this and we haven't booked them yet. The people with that paint. You know what I'm talking about? That paint is like so thick as sour cream. I want to bring them on because I totally want to know what Leo thinks about their product. I'm going to have them bring it in the studio.
Yeah, I'd love to take a look at it.
Still have their contact.
I think I do. So we're going to have to bring them in. Okay, good. I definitely want to book them. I'm serious because it's like incredible. We'll talk about it when they come on. But anyway, so it's a good time to jump on over to Sarah. So rates are down just a smidge, right? This week, the daily rate sheets are looking a little better.
A little better. Good morning.
This is Sarah Cricky joining us by phone with the mortgage firm.
So middle of last week, we definitely saw a little dip. Nice little breath of fresh air. Rates ticked down Between conventional and government loans, depending on the qualifying credit and down payment and all those other moving parts, somewhere in the neighborhood of 3/8 to 0.5%.
Dang.
Yeah. And Hometown Heroes is a super popular product right now, Florida bonds, and their rates improved as well.
Sarah, how much of your volume right now are you seeing are in one of those products?
50%.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You gotta love that. This is like. This came from the top. I got to talk about this real quick because this came from the top. So people like DeSantis. And one of the things we've wanted to cover for so long, but it's actually a very, very hard topic to cover, is the Sadowski Fund. And the Sadowski Fund is where, people purchase and they have mortgages, and a portion or one of the estate taxes, I forget which one, goes entirely to the Sadowski Fund. And it's meant for affordable housing and programs like this that's funding our Hometown Heroes, which right now is like 50 some occupations. The rates are better. I mean, there's a million things better about this. Sarah can tell you all about it.
So with Hometown Heroes, you can receive up to 5%, maximum of $25,000 toward your home purchase. Hometown Heroes participates with FHA, USDA, VA, and conventional loans. You have to be in a specific occupation in order to get into that program. There are other Florida bond programs that will provide assistance that are not occupation specific. But it has super liberal guidelines with respect to the income you can earn. The occupation list is expansive. I can run through different scenarios of occupations that would qualify.
Well, let's talk about one of the ones we have, because we had a cute little buyer. He's a military kid, 22 years old, active military in the Air Force, little cybersecurity guy. Totally be your jam, Leo. Mm-hmm. And so he's active military. And so this kid's literally buying his first home using this Hometown Heroes program. And the best part about this whole story is the house was a 2021 built. It was under contract. We were looking around trying to find him something. Couldn't find anything. I ran across this property that was pending, called the agent, and I'm like, hey, you're way past your expected closing date. What's the dealio with this? Is this thing closing or what's going on? Because I think it's a great match for my buyer that's well qualified and he's ready to rock. He's got to find a place and be in it before the end of the year. And sure enough, deal fell apart. We had written a backup offer, moved us into first position on Wednesday. Now my guy is under contract to buy the house. Awesome. So Sarah, talk about it from his perspective. Like, how much better is the rate on this product for him compared to, say, just mainstream and then cash to close? I mean, he's going VA, which is typically zero down, but I mean, it's a great scenario for him.
So it's really an ideal scenario for VA loans. VA loans are guaranteed by the VA, and they're zero down payment loans. So you get this additional assistance on top of that, and basically you're buying a home with very little out of pocket. The down payment assistance can be used as a down payment or to cover closing costs. So let's say, for example, on a $260,000 property, going zero down VA, your down payment assistance at 5% is $13,000. If your closing costs are only $8,000 or $9,000, you can still use that $4,000 in remainder money and apply it as a down payment to the loan. In the Hometown Heroes product, the pricing is better. So you're going to get a better interest rate without a cost associated with it.
Which is a big deal. Don't breeze past that one. Elaborate on that.
So in this scenario, for this VA buyer, his interest rate would have been in a regular VA loan approximately 7%, and there would have been a cost to that rate.
Like just to borrow the money, there's a cost.
Just to borrow the money.
How much was that, Sarah? Roughly, do you know?
Near $2,000, and there just wasn't an interest rate available that didn't have a cost.
That didn't have a cost to borrow money. That's what she's saying.
Correct. So fast forward, get into the Hometown Heroes program. Now the rate's a half a point lower at 6.5. It has zero cost associated with it, and on top of that, he is exempt closing from paying certain normal closing costs. When a buyer purchases a property in the state of Florida, they have to pay a sales tax to the county based on a factor of 0.2, and they have to pay a sales tax to the state based on a factor of 0.35. And they take those factors and multiply them times the loan amount, and that becomes the sales tax. So on that same $260,000 house, you're talking a combined sales tax of over $1,400. So couple the fact that you don't have an origination cost or a discount cost of the rate, you don't have to pay a sales tax, your interest rate is better, and you're saving thousands of dollars on top of getting the assistance.
So the intangible taxes and the state tax stamps, that's what you're talking about, those two are waived on this product? I couldn't remember. So that makes sense. So the county's waiving their portion, the state's waiving their portion, and it's a big deal. I mean, $1,400 plus the $2,000 just to borrow the money. I mean, that's almost $4,000 right there.
Not to mention that your mortgage payment's lower because your rate's better. I mean, overall, it's an amazing product for VA buyers. Another
which our poor little VA buyers. Let me just give a little shout out to them, because seriously, for the last year especially, definitely last year, these VA buyers have not been able to get, for the most part, it's been very hard to get something under contract.
Sandbox, for sure.
That's what I'm saying. It's been very hard to get them under contract because everybody wanted cash or conventional, because the FHA and VA have a bad rap, which we'll talk about that in a minute, because the appraisers are the ones that do the visual inspection for the bank. But go ahead, Sarah. I just thought I'd comment on that.
Well, I mean, with the VA part, I mean, being the inspector, that one of our pitches to real estate agents is, if you have a VA buyer, have us, the engineer, do the home inspection, because odds are the appraiser is going to say something's subject to an engineering review. And
and it's a common misconception that the VA does an inspection on the home. This is not an inspection like if you hire Beryl Engineering and Inspections. Yeah. This is not that type of inspection. It is basically a visual inspection. It's a quick little check-see. So and FHA does the same thing, Danielle.
FHA and VA are identical.
So when you're doing this inspection for the bank, right?
It's a 644-page book. I'm just following them. But
I'm saying, like, what are you actually inspecting when you're doing
We are not
FHA
inspecting anything.
We're
not inspectors.
But
we are not inspectors.
I know.
Observe and verify.
Okay, wait. So this is a CYA for Danielle. I totally get it. I know she puts it all over her report. Crazy smart to do it. But what extra things are you doing on an FHA appraisal?
Have to flush the toilets and run the water, have to test all the electrical, have to test every outlet in the house, have to open and close every window, have to open and close the garage door, have to get up underneath it. Don't know really why we're under there, but if we smell mold or see something funky, we have to disclose it.
So
we have to get up in the attic. We're supposed to walk the entire attic. We're supposed to truss hop from one end to the other with no education for what we're up there. We are up there to observe, and if we see it, we disclose it. Then we recommend a qualified inspector,
which Danielle's
because we are not an inspector. I am not an inspector.
So that's my point. So total tangent. That's why I asked her, okay, yes, you're not inspecting the property, but what extra things are you doing as an appraiser when you're at the property? Hence, it's not an inspection.
We have to make sure the microwave works, the stove works, all 4 burners on the stove work. This is in an FHA handbook that is readily available to anyone. Chipping, curling, cupping, paint. Anything that would require maintenance within the first 2 years of the buyer owning the home must be disclosed
to the bank,
or FHA is not going to meet minimum MPRs.
Yeah, minimum property.
So what she's talking about is HUD Handbooks 4000.1, Appendix B 4240.1.
Absolutely.
There's a 35-point checklist.
I love you having on the show. I just got to say I love you on the show.
She's looking for what's considered obvious defects that are adverse to the minimum property standards.
And in your defense, handrails are nowhere in that book. Nowhere. Handrails are not in the handbook.
Which often gets called out. I'm just saying.
But those are in 15C1 if you're doing a mobile home, though.
I love it. I love Leo. Anyway, this is Tampa Home Talk. Sarah, you'll get a chance to talk more when we come back. But so this is the point. Like, and I had this whole conversation with that VA buyer yesterday. I'm like, no, you need to get an inspection because what the VA is doing is not this.
That's not an inspection.
And so I love that you're saying this.
It will not protect your home.
I'm going to share this segment with our buyers anytime they think it is. So stick around. I'll give you our number as soon as we come back. All right, welcome home. This is Tampa Home Talk, and it's our final segment of the show. I do want to give our off-air number. It's been the great debate. It always is with you, Danielle. I love it. 813-377-2775. That's our off-air number in case you want to get some information on this. Segment 3 was so great. I cannot wait to share this with my buyers that are going FHA or VA and feel like they don't need inspection. We'll tell them exactly why they do.
I thought you two were going to throw down. I tried to break that up.
There's times I'm sitting inside of an attic taking a picture, and I have absolutely no idea why I'm up there.
I was trying to get her to elaborate on that so I could share it, with our prospective buyers.
And after reviewing, I think a 500 wind mitigation reports this week for a program we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks.
Why don't you tease that? Talk about that real quick.
Much of home inspectors don't know what they're looking at in attics either. So here's a teaser for a show that we're going to do on December 9th. Basically, there was a recent bill that it's been around for a while, but it's now going into effect today, where there's a grant program to make your home more hurricane proof. And there's an available 2-to-1 match grant where if you put 5 in, the state will give you 10.
Incredible.
And they're going to offer free inspections to applicable homeowners. So that's the teaser. December 9th, we're going to have a full, after the program's been flushed out a little bit more, we're going to have a full panel here to talk about the program and what benefit it can have to the residents of the Tampa Bay area.
Love it, love it, love it. One of the things I wanted to comment on, I didn't have a chance to do so. We talked about these iBuyers leaving the market, right? So, and here's the thing: like big tech thought, we can replace real estate agents and appraisers. We know the value. We can replace you guys. We know. And so it just goes to show the AI and these computer evaluations. They're not as accurate as they thought they were.
There is no replacement for the actual boots on the ground real estate agent and real estate appraiser. And this market has proven that. And the iBuyers of the world, either BlackRock's coming to buy their inventory or that inventory will be the next REO foreclosure on my desk.
It's interesting, too. I see that Zillow has really stood down on their Zestimate. They have totally stood down on their and they thought about actually removing the Zestimate from active listings.
Well, their algorithm does not take into consideration if a home has a pool. If your home doesn't have a pool, Zillow is always going to be wrong, even in a gated community where every house is the same, even in a townhouse community.
And let's face it doesn't know anything about your home. You could have spent $100,000 to $200,000 upgrading everything in it, and then the house next to it's 1990s on the inside.
It takes an average instead of actually picking the most similar comps. It just takes an average of a 1 mile radius, and your land size, your amenities are not at all.
You would have to let Zillow inside your home, and then AI would have to still try to take that into consideration. It's just not going to be accurate.
I think it could be done.
I disagree.
I think you can write the program to do it.
They have written programs.
You can write the program, but are you going to let Zillow and AI in your home, in your private space? Are you going to let them in there?
I mean, I've already let Alexa and Google throughout my whole house.
But are you going to let them see stuff in your home?
My Alexas are probably spying on my dogs right now.
Okay. I'm going to venture to say that most people, even that welcome technology, are not going to say yes.
That's why the new drive-by appraisals are not kicking off, because they made an app where the homeowner can do their own inspection. Mm-hmm. Appraisers are rejecting to do the work because the homeowners aren't smart enough to even follow the app and do the pictures correctly.
And let's face it, if you have mold in a corner of your home, are you going to show that to the appraiser?
You're going to turn that camera and always avoid, and that will be the demise of this industry if they allow those types of inspections.
Well, that would be a train wreck waiting to happen. That would be the bank's biggest mistake if they ever did that.
In the pandemic, a lot of the loans that were written in the pandemic for drive-by and exterior-only reports, they are showing to be the reports that are being reviewed, and the banks are buying back.
Well,
and those are all the ones that no appraiser stepped foot on the inside.
Sarah, final thoughts on some of the stuff we're talking about with the Hometown Heroes, which is a great program, and the better rates.
Oh, that's where we started, wasn't it?
Just one final thing I want to point out about Hometown Heroes. Yes, it is absolutely fabulous for VA buyers, but keep in mind that it's also fabulous for FHA buyers. This product will allow a lower credit score. You can go down to 640, and you can secure that better pricing in the Hometown Heroes. On a 640 credit score right now, in the current market, the way it's pricing, we talked about the VA scenario where the interest rate was a little higher and the cost was about $2,000 for that particular buyer. Someone with a lower credit score in an FHA loan right now would be completely cut out of the market simply without a lot of cash to close, simply for the fact of the pricing is very expensive. The interest rates are going to be higher, and that rate cost isn't going to be $2,000. It's going to be $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, depending.
Because you're going to have a hit for credit score.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're talking about that additional cash on top of what is a normal 3.5% down payment, and what are normal closing costs. Yes, they're exempt from the sales tax that we talked about, but it's very expensive in terms of the pricing right now. So it's a great opportunity for a lower credit score FHA buyer to get in and purchase a property with assistance, covering their down payment and closing costs, get a lower interest rate that has no cost associated with it. That's a great opportunity right now.
One of the things that my radio show director put on the outline was the adjustable rate mortgages, and we had a little bit of a great debate on this before the show started, and she said, that's what happened in 08, that's why. And I'm like, no, I disagree.
Predatory lending.
It was predatory lending. Yeah, it was all this other stuff.
That was stated income loans.
Exactly.
Here's your interest only. We're backing up interest on, and it's not even interest only. We're backing interest up on your loan.
Yeah.
Those were the negam loans that basically were the
demand. Means your minimum payment isn't enough to even pay the interest, so they're just stacking it on the back end.
Yeah. If you have a financial plan, going into a 10-year ARM, for example, that's fixed for 30 years, it's not putting you in the vulnerable position of having to get out of it in 12 months or 24 months or even 36 months. You're basically in a decade of a fixed rate before it would even adjust. And based on what your long-term plan is, maybe you're only going to own that home for 5 years, or you're as we say, dating the interest rate until the market starts to improve. It gives you a long time to develop an escape plan if you intend to stay in that, and it's going to be your forever home.
Well, I'll tell you, when I bought, Sarah, we can share my scenario. When I bought my home, like over 20 years ago, I bought it on an ARM. I did my loan myself. I think it was a 5-1 ARM, so it was fixed for 5 years, and then it wasn't. And the way that, and nobody can predict the future, right? But with the way things went, my interest rate actually went down. So it was better. So, I wanted to maybe incorporate something new into the show. Leo, I was thinking about adding the last 2 minutes, which we're clearly out of now, but some of the crazy stuff that we see in real estate. I had a really good one I was going to share. I think maybe we'll bring that into the fun for December, especially since that'll be, first show will be mostly your show anyway, so you can, or second show, I guess. Anyway.
Second show.
Yeah. Well, this is Tampa Home Talk. It's been a great week. Thanks for chiming in. We miss Adam this week. I'm sure he'll be back. Well, not next, but the week after. Pre-recorded show for next week. It'll be Black Friday. Have an amazing Thanksgiving. And love where you live, or we'll fix it. Welcome home.